Major updates have now came out in the Pooh Shiesty court case. Shiesty has now officially withdrawn his request to delay his trial, which now means that his trial starts this month. We need to talk about this as well as share an exclusive message from Pooh Shiesty while behind bars, so let's get straight into it. Now, today at the time of this recording, on October 6th, Pooh Shiesty ended up giving out a message to his fans and haters by saying, and I quote, "F these boys out here hating, waiting for a man to fall. I don't fall, I'm a giant." Now I'm assuming this is all of the people praying that Shiesty gets sentenced to life in prison, as well as after releasing this message, Pooh Shiesty's lawyers officially withdrew their request to delay the trial. This now means that Pooh Shiesty's court case is starting on October 25th, and we will be able to find out whether or not he's serving life in prison. Pooh Shiesty will be facing federal armed robbery charges in this court case. There's a maximum of life in prison if convicted, and the evidence that's against him is kinda concerning. Pooh Shiesty claimed not guilty in this court case, even though the evidence that's stacking against him is very major and it's pretty obvious he's the one who did it. The evidence files in this court case were also released, and you need to see these. Now in this court case, this Instagram photo of Pooh Shiesty will be getting used against him. This is one of the first times where an Instagram photo is being used against a rapper in federal court. So this photo that you see here of Pooh Shiesty standing on a bright green McLaren sports car. This photo was actually posted the same day that the robbery went down, where Pooh Shiesty was caught on surveillance footage using a firearm towards two individuals while trying to get sneakers and narcotics. But the next piece of evidence is a Louis Vuitton bag. In this Louis Vuitton bag, there is $40,912 in cash. This is being used against Pooh Shiesty, as after the robbery went down, this Louis Vuitton bag ended up falling out of his bright green McLaren sports car. Shiesty uploaded several photos to his Instagram of him doing the money thing where he stretches a stack of money across his body, and well, the feds downloaded and zoomed in on those photos, and one of the serial numbers on one of the bills from the photo matched with one of the bills in the Louis Vuitton bag, meaning it proves Pooh Shiesty robbed these men, as the Louis Vuitton bag is his and it fell out of his green McLaren. And let's not forget, the biggest piece of evidence that's against Pooh Shiesty is this surveillance footage from a building that's across the street from the parking lot where it all went down, where it catches Pooh Shiesty driving into the parking lot, showing Shiesty hopping out of the green McLaren and doing the act towards two individuals who thankfully nothing too severe happened to them, but they still caught Pooh Shiesty using a firearm against the two individuals in a robbery. Now this is pretty severe evidence, as when you look at the overall case, it's very concerning. And just as a little bit more detail on what happened, in the case documents, it states the following records: that Pooh Shiesty met two individuals inside of a parking lot. Shiesty drives into the parking lot driving a bright green McLaren sports car, which I showed you earlier him flexing it on Instagram. Shiesty arrived to the scene with one of his boys. They hopped out of their cars and they met the two men. These two men were originally supposed to sell Shiesty and his boy high-end sneakers as well as narcotics. When arriving to the scene, everything was normal and everything was cool. If anything, these two individuals they met up with, they were fans of Pooh Shiesty. Shiesty was nice enough to let the two individuals sit inside of his McLaren, take a photo of them with the McLaren. Everything was fine until Pooh Shiesty ends up whipping out a firearm and uses it towards the two individuals, as he no longer wanted to pay for the goods, instead he wanted them for free. At the time, Shiesty was wearing a mask over his face. This made it very hard for law enforcement to figure out who it even was. But once getting the goods, Shiesty then hopped back into his all-green McLaren and ended up speeding right out of the parking lot, but he didn't realize that Louis Vuitton bag that I mentioned earlier fell out of the passenger seat of his green McLaren, and well, that's how law enforcement found that bag. So Pooh Shiesty was hit then with federal charges of conspiracy to possess firearms with an act of robbery, as well as using the firearm. Shiesty will now face a maximum of life in prison for these charges, and it's not looking good for him due to the severe evidence. And this isn't the only thing that Pooh Shiesty is battling with in court either. Around next year, his other court trial will start. This is where Pooh Shiesty literally used a firearm against somebody at the King of Diamonds club in Miami. Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty, he was performing for a crowd, and during one of his performances that night, he was seen having $40,000 cash sitting in his skinny jeans pocket. Now, according to the arrest warrant, Shiesty was performing at the club, and during it, someone in the crowd knocked the stack of cash out of his back pocket, and it landed on the floor, and a bunch of individuals grabbed the cash and ran right out of the club. Pooh Shiesty got very angry. He hopped on the floor with the crowd trying to grab his money, but he was too late, which is then when Shiesty was seen exiting the club, and some fan that was sitting at the back near the exit door was recording the concert, and at the time where Shiesty was walking past him, the fan caught on film Shiesty pulling a firearm out of his waistband. And well, a few moments after that happened, all you can hear was a firearm being used outside of the club, and well, a witness claims that Shiesty pulled a firearm out of his waistband and used it at a security guard who works at the club. When it was used, everybody in the club was going insane. People were flipping tables, running around ducking for cover. Nobody knew what to do. But after the act was done, Shiesty was then arrested for obviously using a firearm towards an individual, and again, he will be facing probably life in prison for this too, as Florida has a 10-20 life rule to where you will be sentenced to 25 years in prison if you pull out a firearm, use it towards someone, and that person is then affected by it. So either way, if Pooh Shiesty is not sentenced to life in prison already for the original case that starts on October 25th, there's a good chance he'll be sentenced to life in prison for the second case that starts around next year. But anyways, I'm ending the video here. If you enjoyed, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. It's been District Trending, and I'm out. Peace.